Hello, and welcome to another edition of It's Just Me, hosted by Brent Fox. Today's show is going to be another quick one, and unfortunately, I have to again start off on a more somber note. So, the boxing world has lost another legend who is Dwight Muhammad Qawi, or Dwight Braxton, or affectionately known as the Camden Buzzsaw. Now, Dwight Muhammad Qawi earned that particular name because of his ability to fight inside. Now, when I was actually learning boxing, this man taught me how to effectively fight inside. And for that, I am deeply appreciative. Um, One of the first things that Dwight Muhammad Qawi actually showed us as far as fighting inside is just effectively getting inside in the first place. Now, back in the 70s and early 80s, the slipping punches and ducking and rolling were quite different. So basically, there was a bob and weave type technique that you would use to time, anticipate, and then evade punches. Dwight Muhammad Qawi, who was kind of reminiscent of Joe Frazier doing this, was very effective getting on the inside. So once he was able to bob, weave, time, anticipate, and get in, what he would do is he would actually put his head on the opponent's chest and start ripping shots upward. These shots would actually go into the rib cage. They would go into the solar plexus. They would actually wind up also going into the flanks of the opponent, which is actually going to wind up being in between like your oblique and then your actual back. So those shots are very, very effective shots, especially on the inside, to where you can't really time and anticipate or really evade those types of shots. And when they're that violent and then they're that powerful and intense, it really does do something to you as far as being in combat. So for that, he was actually very masterful, and then it actually helped him achieve two victories over the legendary Matthew Said Muhammad, who in his own right was a legendary fighter in the light heavyweight division. So, to Dwight Muhammad Qawi, we salute you and we definitely appreciate you. Now, a more current fight that's actually happening, and this is not a mainstream fight that everybody's paying attention to, but it is something that is worth noting. Kenneth Bothman Sims and, Oscar Duarte are actually going to have a fight this weekend. Now, if I'm thinking about it correctly, I think the fight may actually be on Friday. If not, it's obviously going to be on Saturday. But I think that with Kenneth Bossman Sims' fighting style and then Oscar Duarte's come forward, quote unquote, Mexican style fighting, he should be able to make it a good fight. And I think that Kenneth Bossman Sims, with his boxing ability, his excellent feet, and then also him being able to utilize angles and then attack based off of those particular angles and body positioning, it should make for a really good matchup because Oscar Duarte is relentless. And Duarte, unfortunately, is a bit better known as a Ryan Garcia victim, but he recently had a victory over someone, and I just forgot the name of the opponent, but it was pretty impressive towards the end. It was a back and forth type fight. It was actually a war, to be quite honest. But Duarte actually was able to prevail with his relentless punching, determination, and heart. So I look for this fight to actually be a good one this weekend on the Zone, I believe. And it's under the Golden Boy Promotions banner. So be on the lookout for that either tomorrow or Saturday. So, in other boxing news, of course, Tank Davis, or Gervonta Tank Davis, was rumored to be retiring. Unfortunately, this came from an extremely unreliable source whom I cannot take seriously. And I mean that with all the disrespect in the world. Um, I do. I mean that with all the disrespect in the world because this person is genuinely disrespectful to black boxing content creators and particularly to the LDBC crowd and also Deontay Wilder supporters as well. So to Rick Glacier, because I'm not a coward that's not going to name names, and I'm not also one of those people that say things on the internet and will not account for them in person. So if I see you, I just do not speak. I go about my business. I want nothing from you. You cannot benefit me in any way, shape, form, or fashion. I want nothing that you have. And I want to be extremely clear on that. Now, also in other boxing news, of course, there is the back and forth with Brian Norman Jr. and Devin Haney. That I'm not going to actually get into, to be honest. I just want to see the fight happen, and I want to make sure that the fight stays on track for it to happen. So, any type of negative reporting or he said, she said, or back and forth or anything else like that, not doing it. I am a fan of both fighters, and I definitely want to see a good fight between the two. I'm not going to fall into this trick bag of being divided or taking a side or anything else like that. And if there's someone out there who cannot accept that, then that's on them. So, moving on to women's boxing, the GOAT, Claressa Shields, of course, who had a very impressive showing last weekend against Lonnie Daniels, is still pushing and lobbying for the fight with Layla Ali. Of course, recently she had basically like a conference or a get together just with certain businesses, including Papooses record label, to try to make sure that the 15 million that Layla was asking for was available. And once they broadcasted it, unfortunately, it did not look as though Ms. Ali took it seriously and, for the time being, has seemed to. Let me make sure that I make this evidently clear. Has seemed to. There was no definite that she actually turned it down, but it seemed as though she may have turned it down. So, with that, I guess it would have to be a process of just wait and see. Hopefully the fight does come about because it would be monumental for women's boxing if that were to actually happen. Despite people, going against it and not wanting to see it, I think that it's vital to the sport that these two women fight. Sorry for the interruption, y'all. Again, real life person, real life situation. So, again, Layla Ali and Claressa Shields will be a monumental fight. And again, I think that it is, just in my humble opinion, vital for women's boxing and will take it into a whole different stratosphere. But fights like this need to happen to keep our sport going. If these fights do not happen, then people like Jake Paul, and I'm not knocking him at all, he found a lane, he exploited that particular lane, and it is thriving. You have guys like Jake Paul that, of course, is a celebrity that has actually made his platform boxing, MMA fighters, obvious and apparent boxers that are past their prime, or Julio Cesar. I'm so sorry. You know what? He doesn't deserve his name to be pronounced correctly. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., who is basically a gimmick himself, who is a disgrace to boxing. He's a disgrace to boxing. when you have Jake Paul actually fight these overmatched opponents, and yes, he was an overmatched opponent. Um, you open up a whole nother door for things like that to happen. So I think it's vital that the actual real fighters get in there with each other and make history anytime that it's actually available. So, and plus, if they're worried about money, I'm sure that the money is actually going to be right. Somebody's going to be able to pay for it. Turkey Al Sheikh is out there. And then I'm pretty sure that there are going to be some business entities that will actually sponsor the event, things of that nature. If there's money out there to be made from a particular quote unquote dream matchup or big fight or something of that nature, these particular entities will get the money together. Now, of course, there are terms and conditions, but the money is going to be there. So that is something that I don't think, just in my humble opinion, that it's going to be a major issue. So just kind of moving on and then wrapping up the show. Of course, I have to talk about my Pittsburgh Steelers before I get off air. Now, I think 2 days ago, no. Yeah, 2 days ago, we had our first day of pads. Now, obviously, if you know football, the defense actually develops faster than the offense does. So, as a result, the offense got their butts kicked or their asses handed to them. Let me just not sugarcoat it. Offense got their asses handed to them the first day of pads. Second day of pads, the offense did substantially better. They won what we would call the 7 shots. And what 7 shots is exactly what it's named. You have 7 opportunities to get in the end zone. And whoever actually either scores the most or defends the best, which means that, of course, you have 4 downs to try to get into the end zone. If the defense shuts it down, that's a win for them. Or they get a turnover, of course, that's a win for them. If the offense actually scores, that's a win for them. And then basically what it is, hey, who scored within those 7 times that the offense actually tried to line up and score, and then who was able to either get a turnover or completely shut down the play as a defense. So that's a win for the defense. So today, I think the offense won. I think it was 4-3, very close. And then from what I'm getting from the reports, the the defense actually won the day in all the other drills. So as far as like the blocking drills and being able to run the ball or being able to catch the ball against defenders, I think the defense actually pulled a very, very convincing argument as far as who actually had the better day overall. So that's to be expected with the defense, who is, I think they're the highest paid defense in the NFL. And obviously, it looks like the Pittsburgh Steelers are getting their money's worth for right now with the defense. I hope to see the offense develop, but of course, that's going to be a work in progress. Okay, so again, real life person, real life situation. So as I was stating, hopefully the offense actually develops before the 7th of September, I believe, where they're at MetLife Stadium playing the New York Jets. So we shall see from now until then. Oh, also, of course, the Pat McAfee show actually came into town the official first day of pads, which I think was yesterday or the day before technically. I'm sorry, I work overnight, so sometimes I get my days mixed up. But at any rate, Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee was in town. Of course, some of the local reporters were kind of slick hating on him, talking about the circus was in town and all that stuff. But yeah, that I definitely appreciate the national attention that the Steelers are getting in training camp. Now, I do know that that is due to Aaron Rodgers being a part of the team, things of that nature, and him being a frequent person on Pat McAfee's show, things of that nature. I get all that. It's cool. When asked, was he going to do the Pat McAfee show on Tuesday, he kind of left it up in the air. To me, I think that they probably will not do it on Tuesdays during the season. But I think that it's definitely going to get right back on track once the season's over. So who knows? And then, of course, the reports about Aaron Rodgers is, oh, he's a normal guy. He's one of us and X, Y, and Z, which I definitely appreciate right now. But we're going to see who Aaron Rodgers really is when things get adverse. When plays aren't being executed in the regular season, when things actually start breaking down. Because unfortunately, Broderick Jones is not going to be very good this season. Broderick Jones is a left tackle for the Pittsburgh Steelers. A left tackle is the offensive lineman that covers that blocks the best defensive ends to cover the quarterback's blind side. He's not going to be very good this year. Hopefully, he's better than what's my guy went to Tennessee, Dan Moore Jr. So hopefully he's better than Dan Moore Jr. But I do not expect much from Broderick Jones at all. I just don't see it. Yes, he's physically gifted and talented, but even during stretching and warm-ups, he looks really uncoordinated. And and there were also reports, even though he was not in pads, there were reports that he was actually getting beaten pretty badly on pass rush drills. So, not looking forward to Broderick Jones getting out there this season. I hope that I'm wrong. And if I am wrong, I don't mind getting back on here and apologizing. And again, if I am wrong about Aaron Rodgers, I don't mind getting back on here and apologizing. But until I am shown differently, I'm going to stick to my initial feeling, because most of the time when you get an initial feeling about something, and this is for anybody, most of the time that initial reaction is correct. So we shall see. We shall see. All right. So just basically wrapping the show up, I want to give a big shout out to the LDBC family, who is basically having a family reunion next week. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to attend this one. I'm not missing the other ones, though. I'm going to have to figure something out for this next one. And try to make sure that I make it. I have a funny feeling that we'll probably wind up being in New York next year, but we'll see. But yeah, I hope everyone has a good time in Vegas, and I hope everyone gets there safely, has a good time, genuinely enjoys each other, and then just make it safely back home. That is my prayer for you all. And hey, crank out that content, take pictures, all that good stuff, because I definitely want to know what happens, even though I'm not going to be there. To my LDBC family, sorry, I love y'all. I'm definitely going to miss y'all, but I'm not going to be staying away for too much longer. There are just things that are going on here that I have to take care of, and unfortunately, as a result, I'm not going to be able to attend. It is heartbreaking that I'm not able to go, but again, I'm a real life person in a real life situation, so I'm gonna make sure that I make it next year, though. I have to make it next year. All right. So, again, thank you all so much for watching It's Just Me, hosted by Brent Fox. Please check out my brother's content and Coach 67 Sports TV. He has a plethora of shows, mostly for the Southern University, and Coach 67 just happens to be the best content creator for the Southern University on the face of this planet. So, there you have it. Also, my brother Jared O11 Green, who has shows such as From a Black Man's Perspective that actually comes on Saturdays, 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. He, along with Coach 67 Sports TV and our general 78 Sports TV, do shows just kind of discussing things from a black man's perspective. They also have the Southern Baller Show, which I am a very small part of, but thoroughly enjoy each time I'm involved. That show comes on 3:30 Sunday, 3:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, of course, on Sundays on YouTube as well. Please check out my brother I Am Trill Will, who has the best political commentary on YouTube. He's randomly on, so there's not a set time slot, but please subscribe to I Am Trill Will. Hit the bell for notifications, and then you can find out when he's actually on. My brother Junior the Truth actually has a wide variety of shows as well. Now, Junior has things like the Black Coffee Club. He also has like the Cultural Experience, his new show, and then, of course, the Punch Junkie. So his motto is to, of course, think, learn, and then laugh. So, shouts out to my big bro, Junior the Truth, for that. And then, last but certainly not least, our founder, 78 Sports TV, has a plethora of shows also on YouTube. Primarily, he does his show 10 a.m. weekdays on YouTube. Please don't miss that either. Again, this has been Brent Fox for It's Just Me, and I will see you guys next time.